reflection. So now we're going to start setting our targets and what we call landing the planes, or in other words, we're going to now start putting pen to paper moving forward into 2025. So we're going to get into tactical stuff here in a second. Before we do that, I want to focus more on you. How do you want to, we talked about this briefly at the beginning, how do you want to feel in your practice? Do you want to feel energized when you come in or when you leave? Confident, peaceful, jazzed, excited? What do you want to feel in your practice? Because if you're saying, well, currently I'm stressed, I feel uncertainty, I feel fear, that will feed on itself and limit your growth, in my experience. So, but if you don't recognize it and kind of like name it and claim it, then it can continue unabated without you really knowing it, right? So maybe the first question is, hey, how do you feel about your practice? We kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but what do you want to feel in practice? And what do you want to feel about your practice? And then what's your big vision for the practice? You know, do you want to add a, like an M7, like a nice laser? Do you want to add another decompression table? Do you want to move into a new location? Do you want to add a location? Do you want to add a team member, or several team members? Do you want to get up to 4 tables? Like, what is the big vision for the practice? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to speak on stages? I don't know. I don't know what it is for you, but typically, if we can have a purpose that's driving us and a big future that's pulling us towards it, then it really feels less like a grind. In fact, it doesn't even feel like work. So what's your big vision? And then what skill or skills would you like to develop as a doctor? And it could just be one, do you want to become a rock star on your evaluation and just be like, I want patients, when they come out of my disc exam, they're going to tell their friends and family, I've never had an exam like that. It's the best exam I've ever had. Maybe you want to develop that skill. Maybe you want to develop and increase your skills from a communication standpoint. I don't want to close. I want to lead. I want to fire people up about their health, about their potential, about how they can change their life non-surgically with what we do. And I want to be able to talk to them eloquently and confidently, and I don't want to, trick or talk them into anything. I want them to be attracted to me. I want that skill set. Maybe that would be an amazing skill set to have, right? So what is a skill set you want to develop as a doctor? And I think if you just picked one and said, that's going to be what I focus on in 2025, and you commit to it and you have a plan and you do it, you will be a rock star at whatever that is, and people will notice. So this is kind of the soft skills, right? So hard skill, adjusting, that type of stuff. Soft skill, communication, leadership. You could say, or you could be thinking, well, shoot, my team building or my team, I've had some turnover. I want that to stop. In 2025, I want that to stop. I want my team to come in and be fired up, and that they love working here. It shows to the patients. They stay for a long time. I pay them well. I raise people up. I want to be a better leader, and I want to build this team. That could be an amazing skill set to work on, being a team builder, right? So then where do you want to improve as an entrepreneur? And I should really, entrepreneur/business person, like, where do you want to improve on that level? Do you want to be better with your stats? Do you want to be better with marketing? Do you want to be better with maybe strategic thinking? Do you want to, I don't know. But those are some good ones, right? And I would say if you're not really great with stats, don't tell yourself that, by the way. Don't say, oh, I'm not a detail person. Or I'm just not a stat person. Don't say that. You'll talk that into existence. You tell yourself that enough times, you'll believe it, right? The better way to say, in the past, I've been challenged with stats, but I'm committed moving forward to being very diligent with my stats so that I can run my business effectively and we can have a healthy profit margin, have a healthy profit, so I can, be rewarded for all my effort. It's nice to connect one with, the new skill with an outcome, right? Because the outcome will, kind of pull you forward. So I think becoming really good with stats and being diligent with that is great. Becoming more of a strategic thinker. What are 3 joint venture partnerships that could grow my business with no marketing dollars whatsoever? Sometimes we just need good questions, right? How do I become a better networker, right? So I can meet some of the other business leaders in my community and, learn from them and grow with them. That would be a cool skill set to improve. So think about that. Where do you want to improve as an entrepreneur? Then this is more tactical, right? And I would encourage you to start with fewer and more focused goals. So what I've found is like when you kind of take care of the top level stuff, all the other things, get taken care of because of it. In other words, if you focus on your top line revenue and your profit margin, then and you hit those goals, then you're able to invest in equipment, invest in training, invest in team. You'll have, extra money in the bank. You can invest. Like it's just, it feeds all the other good things after it, as long as you're diligent with your money. And so I just like to start there. And so what is your total gross revenue goal for 2025? And I think, if you're doing, so a lot of doctors, well, what is realistic? Like what is something I could, well, I think, if say you just added a niche, I think adding 20 grand a month for that niche. So say you're doing 500,000 and you're going to add a niche and ramping that up to 20 grand a month. So it'll be an extra 240, 250. I think that's realistic, so that's pretty, that's, what is that? 50% growth. If you're not going to add a niche where you have an additional high value service and you're just going to grow your existing services, I think, 20, 30% is, if you're under $1 million, 20 to 30% is definitely doable. Okay. So if you're, if you're doing 500,000, then that would be an extra 100,000 at 20%. So you'd go to 600,000, totally doable. So that's how I'd kind of think about your total gross revenue goal. And then I would be looking at, what is your current profit margin? And, what do you want to net from that? And I think, if you're at 50% profit margin, that's really good. If you're at 50% profit margin from 500,000 to $1 million a year, that's pretty darn good. If you're at 50% profit margin, but you're not hitting your goals, then you're probably not spending enough on marketing. And you have to figure out, how do I put more money into marketing profitably? Okay. And so you can go back and look at the diversified marketing roadmap training in week 7, videos 11 and 12. So I would look at that high level and then I'd back into quarterly. Okay, so let's use some easy numbers here. If you wanted to do $1 million a year, and that's a realistic number, $1 million a year, well, that's about 83,000 a month. So $1 million a year would then be $250,000 per quarter, 250,000 per quarter, and then you have to think of, okay, so I'm going to do 83,000 a month. That gets me 250 a quarter, and then $1 million a year. So that 83,000, how many new patients do I need to hit that? Right? So how much is chiro going to take up? How much is decompression? How much is like knee pain? So if you have chiro and 2 niches, well, then you would say, okay, got 83,000. My chiro typically does 35,000, right? So that leaves about 50,000. Let's use easy numbers. So chiro does 35 grand. I need 50 grand. I'll do 25 in decomp, 25 in knee. My care plans are 5 grand. So I need 5 new patients in each of those, and 35 grand. So we need about 30 to 35 patients in chiro. Now that may be different if you're doing PI, right? So then if you're doing more PI, then you want to go look at, okay, what is my average case worth? Because with chiro, the average case is around $1,000. So, if you wanted 35,000, you need to do around, 35 new patients a month. Now it's different when like you're adding in laser and all this type of stuff. It builds up cases. But for, PI, you don't need that many cases to hit 35 because each case is worth $4 or $5 grand. But so that's why we need to know the numbers coming into it. Like, how much is a chiro patient worth in your office, right? So in other words, if you said, well, we did 100,000 and we had 100 new patients. Well, that's 1,000 a patient. So you just have to figure out, okay, how many new patients do we get in chiro and how much was the gross revenue? And you divide the gross revenue by the number of new patients. That gives you your average case value per patient, okay? Just like if you did 25,000 in decompression and you had 5 new patients, well, that's 5,000 per case. So I hope that makes sense. But you need to figure out those numbers so you can plan properly. Because think about this. Think if you thought your case value was, well, point being, we just know. You need to start with the numbers that are accurate so you can plan appropriately. But then you want to break it down. Okay, well now I know I need X number of new patients per month for chiro, X number of new patients for decomp, and X number of new patients for knee, whatever that may be. Okay. And then what we want to do is then get this all on paper. And I'm checking out this. I think I put it on the next page. We'll get there in a second. Did I do this? Yeah, we'll get there in a second. But let's start with getting goals and promotions down on a wall calendar. So get, from Amazon or, Office Depot, whatever. Get one of those big wall calendars with the whole year. And I want you to start putting all your promotions on there, right? All the marketing, put your vacations, put staff that's going to be out of the office. And this should not be in a room where your patients are going to see it, but it should be where your team is going to see it, right? And so that okay, well, in January we're doing New Year, New You. We're going to do a workshop on whatever, whatever it may be. That's on the 17th. We need to start planning on the 5th. Like that's the value of having a in-your-face big wall calendar. So get that ordered ASAP. And start putting the stuff that you know of. And in terms of you say, well, I don't know what promotions I'm doing. Go back and watch the Diversified Marketing Roadmap videos, 11 and 12 in week 7, and start choosing some internal promotions because you're probably running some paid media, and that's great. But we need to balance it out with some internal stuff to generate internal referrals, right? And to generate goodwill with patients and create that retention with patients. And then and you don't have to do your whole 12 months, with this first planning session. You can just do the first quarter, right? Just get the first quarter done, so that you have some momentum. But we do want to make sure that we get your well-being taken care of. So get, maybe you have a, one big vacation and a couple weekend vacations, get those on the calendar. Maybe, put the conferences. Hey, I'm going to the summit in September, put that on the calendar. And get it down on paper. Then schedule your check-ins. So a check-in is at the end of each quarter. So if you don't keep track of this, the year's going to get away from you, right? A lot of doctors, they don't even check their year-to-date stats, and they don't know if they're on track or if they're on track or not on track. And then it's like they get to the end of the year and they look at their tax return, and that's when they actually realize how much money they made. So we want to be tracking this at the end of each quarter, right? And see, hey, am I on track? Am I not on track? Do I need to do more marketing? Am I doing great? And I just kind of stay the course. Like, you won't know what to do unless you're doing your check-ins. So put those on your calendar, and you can put them on the physical calendar, and you can put them on your Google calendar as well if you're using that. But I would put that on the first day after each quarter, right? So after quarter one, that would be April 1st, right? January, February, March, and then April 1st, April, May, June. So it would be on the July 1st, etc. Now, pro tip. We talk about, and we are going to wrap this up very, very soon. We talk about trying to focus on high value activities, right? And the more you can do, the more high value activities you can do, the faster your practice will grow. In other words, low value activities are things like, paying bills and, going to the Office Depot, like that type of stuff, right? You really want to delegate that stuff as much as possible to team members. And with this pro tip, it's like, well, if there was one team member that you could add in 2025 that could increase your free time, maybe increase revenue, maybe decrease some busy work, or maybe even all the above, like who would that be? And then put that somewhere on the calendar. Hey, and I like to tie, new hires to revenue. So if you're at, say, 50 grand a month, and you say, well, once we get to 75,000, I can hire an associate. And then that way you can take yourself out of the adjusting, right? And you can, not all the adjusting, right? We always talk about that. You can still adjust the patients you've seen forever, but maybe you don't do any of the new chiropractic exams, and you don't do the bulk of the adjusting. Now instead of doing 50 adjustments a day, you're doing 10, right? And so you have more energy physically, and it's less wear and tear, and you can focus more on your consults with your niches, like that type of thing. But what is one team member that could really move the needle in your practice? It could be a tech. It could be a great front desk receptionist, or what I like to call an ambassador. But just think about that, because adding a great new team member can sometimes really shift the practice in a positive way. All right, let's wrap it up. Again, we talked about this. We need to look back before we look forward. And the reason why we want to do that is because we want to do more of what worked, less of what didn't, and learn from what didn't, and learn from what worked, so that we can make better decisions moving forward. Now, if you do all this, right, so you're watching this, now if you just watch this, that doesn't put you in the top 5%. But if you do watch this and then you implement the planning sessions, and really plan out your 2025, in my opinion, you're immediately putting yourself in the top 5%, because chiropractors are notorious for just not being great business people. Doctors are notorious for just not being great business people. They're good doctors, right? That's where they put their energy. But because we are a doctor owner, we need to set aside time to develop our business skill sets. And this is one of the business skill sets, is planning, okay? So I would recommend using a personal planner for all your goals. And I just bought this one called the Full Focus Planner. Has excellent reviews. It seems like the layout's really cool. So I bought that, and we'll be using that for my planning for 2025. And it's like $50, but it's super nice. It's like linen, and anyways. So I would encourage you to try that if you don't have a good one. And then get the wall calendar. Those are super inexpensive. And then high level is one, like, really big question is what is one thing that you could focus on in 2025 that would give you the best shot at achieving your goals, right? And I put these in kind of order of how I think they should be addressed, right? So if we're not getting the great clinical outcomes, it doesn't matter. Nothing else matters. It doesn't matter if we convert well, if you have great marketing, or if we have a great team. If you're not delivering the results to the patients, nothing else matters. So that's why the number one principle at specialized practice is delivering great clinical outcomes. So we hang our hat on that. So I would go in this order. So if you're not getting great clinical outcomes, then that's where you should start. And so whatever niche it is, focus on the evaluation, focus on the protocol, get on the Q&As for clinical, get a consultation with Dr. Kyle regularly, like get your clinical outcomes up to snuff. Now, that being said, that's typically not a big issue with the doctors in our group, which is awesome. The next thing then is conversion. Are you able to enroll patients into care? Are you able to create confidence in the ROF? Are you able to evaluate and have that communication skill set so that patients are attracted to you and want to work with you? That's huge, because then it's like, well, if you can put tons of money into marketing, but if you can't close them or enroll them, it's not going to be money well spent. But if you can take your close rate, and by the way, again, close rate for chiro should be around 90%. For niches, it should be at 50% minimum. But as you get better, you should be up around 60, 70%. And so the higher you can get your close rate, the farther your marketing dollars go, right? So, but if you're like, hey, no, I can close any, if they're well qualified, I can enroll them into care. Great. Next then is marketing, right? Are you getting enough bites at the apple? Do enough people know about you and your practice? Jim Parker said this. The more people that know about you and your practice, the bigger your practice will be. So marketing, lean into marketing then, right? And if you're like, I don't like marketing, well, hey, do you not like money too? It's like, I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't mean you need to learn how to run Facebook ads, right? What I'm saying is that you are the strategic thinker. Hey, and bring team into it. And I want Google going. I want to get SEO going. I want to get that website optimized. I want great testimonials on there. I want a founder's video. By the way, Dr. Pankin has a really good founder's video. Go check his website out at redrockchiro.com. And then I want, because this is what we talk about in the diversified marketing roadmap, 3 to 5 paid channels, 3 to 5 internal channels. So it doesn't mean you have to learn the stuff, right? And doing, tapping the keys. It's high level, designing the marketing plan, and then everyone else implements the marketing plan for you. If you don't have the team, then you're going to need to implement it until you do have the team to implement it. But the point being is, if you want to grow, and you don't have enough new patients, no one's coming to save you. I'm sorry to break it to you, but no one is coming to save you. You have to really be the driver on the marketing side. You have to be the squeaky wheel with the agencies. Like Dr. Shook is an excellent example. She, is always talking to Katie. Hey, should we try this? And what about this? And would this work? And I've seen this. It's like, it's great. It's awesome, because she's engaged, and, as you test things, you learn things, and it gets better and better. So you really want to take an active role in marketing. But then if you said, hey, my marketing's on point, we have a great new patient flow, I'm able to convert them, I'm able to get great clinical outcomes, then the last step is really team members. And the reason why you want to build your team is to free up your time so that you can focus on the highest value activities, right? Evaluating and enrolling patients into care, strategically thinking about what you want the next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years to look like for the practice. What are some joint venture partnerships that, could help grow the practice? Maybe you want to write a book. Maybe you want to speak on stages. Maybe you want to start a radio show. Maybe you want to do an infomercial. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I want to reach more people, I have this amazing facility. It's doing really well. We got great reviews. I want to spread the word. I want to help more people. I want to create a movement in my community. That's what building a team allows you to do, because it frees up your mind to think about it. If you're always in the weeds and, doing everything, like no one can do it as well as I can. It's gonna limit your growth, right? So you need to then become, hey, I'm gonna become a team builder and a great leader of my team, so that they will feel empowered to do all this stuff, and I'm gonna do this stuff, the stuff that's really exciting and fun to me. So that's really the last level, is becoming a team builder, so that you free up your time, and then your practice will absolutely explode. Okay. So congratulations for getting to the end. What did we hit? 45 minutes-ish. I hope this has been valuable for you. So this is your next step, is plan and schedule your first planning session where you can start implementing this stuff. And again, I'm so excited for 2025. I hope you are too. The only trap is to get excited and not do anything. So now your next job is to don't leave the scene of this training without taking some action. Tony Robbins always talks about that. So take some action right now. The easiest one is to, it's been 45 minutes, give yourself a break, but schedule your next session. Get that on the calendar, give yourself an hour. That's where you're going to reflect on 2024, where you're going to gather the data, right? That's your next session. And then the session after that will be actually writing your goals down in your planner. So, okay. So again, hope this served you. Hope this was super valuable, and we'll see you probably on the next Q&A. Take care.